A lot of people seem to act like they are completely oblivious to the risks with this. Have we become 21st century ignorant with technology?
I think a lot of people these days want to go to the good old adage, set it and forget it. They don't want to have to think about security. They don't want to have to think about, what's going to happen if I do A, what is going to result of my actions. People just want to kind of put security on the back burner when in reality, security should be first and foremost in your mind. You wouldn't go out, into the cold without a jacket. You shouldn't go onto the internet without antivirus and proper browser security and Windows updates and all that good stuff. And people sit down at a computer and they think of it as just like, it's a lazy box. It's a media consumption device. You sit down, you turn your brain off and you tune in. But in reality, these stupid dumb boxes, they may be dumb, but they have the capability of, doing a lot. And by turning our brains off and ignoring these things, we put ourselves in a situation that makes us extremely vulnerable to these people. I mean, we're dealing with scam artists. I mean, people who once, sent pyramid schemes through the mail now send that stuff through email for that reason. It's like it's the same as the real world. It's just become digitized. And you have to think about when you go online, think about it as going outside. You don't go for a walk at 3 o'clock in the morning if you live in a bad neighborhood. It's the same thing. You don't go to shady websites with no security. It's the exact same thing, and people don't really think of it like that. They get so detached because it's cyberspace. It's intangible, but there is a tangible risk. And it's your identity, it's your personal information, it's your computer's security. You could brick your computer, or you could go as far as losing your credit card and your credit score. It's just how much of a risk are you going to put yourself out there over a few measly bucks or rune coins, depending on, the scenario.
Which you can't even get a bucket of chicken for with this.
Exactly. It's no different than those stupid websites that are like, take a survey and you'll get $3. What are you gonna do with $3?
I don't know, buy a Folgers coffee
Yeah, after you take six more surveys.
and get spammed with about 50 extra, anyway.
Oh, that reminds me. I can't wait. I used a fake email address
Yeah.
to do all this, obviously. I cannot wait to look at that inbox after a while.
What one? R. Kelly?
No, and anyone can feel free to email this address. I don't give a crap because I don't use it. I registered I hate adware at outlook.com.
Outlook.com, yeah.
And so the email address I hate adware is what I used for everything. And then I used a fake password as well, or a password, not a fake password, or a password that I wouldn't normally use. So I mean, logging in right now, um, it's actually not too bad yet. But this email address has only been around for 1 day. But currently, I am just everything in my inbox right now is just spam.
And I wouldn't be surprised, say, if you're, what is it? I hate Abware, is it?
Yep,
Yeah, I
I
hate
hate
Abware.
adware.
I wouldn't be surprised if your password is I love spam.
No comment.
No comment, so he's not denying it either, folks. So, do you think the current generation needs to be more educated with 21st century technology? Example, education with identifying scams and consequences by being ignorant slash oblivious to them?
Absolutely. I mean, education is the means, it's the core foundation of how we spread our ability to function as a society. Before we had, any formal education, things were passed down through spoken word or were for the privileged. We're in an age where you can literally look up anything on the internet, find out how to do it yourself, and bam, you have now acquired that knowledge. Your brain is forever changed. And people are just so lazy that they don't do it, and it makes me sad, but we need to educate people as much as possible. At least we need to try. We need to make it available by doing what we do. I don't want to. get up on my high horse and pretend like what I'm doing is like God's work or something. But, there needs to be voices out there who are saying, "Hey guys, this is a bad idea. Don't do this," because the majority of society is not going to go out and seek information that is not relevant to their life. And it's the same reason that like you go to a doctor when you're sick, or when your computer breaks down, you go to a computer repair shop. It's the same thing as that. Is we need people who are at least educated in specific areas to profess that information per se, so that people who don't have the time or the interest have that information and can consume that information in a friendly manner. Because I mean, you can type into Google right now, like how do I protect myself from malware, and I mean, if you have no idea how to do that, it could take you months or years to master that skill. But to just know and just have kind of like internet smarts to kind of go along with like street smarts, but if you can just have enough knowledge to know what's right and wrong, what's dangerous or safe, you won't end up in these situations. So yes, education is extremely important, and we need to focus on education on as a whole. It's just a matter of being able to provide education to people in ways that is either A, entertaining enough that they will want to take part in it, or B, it needs to be readily available and easily consumable. So that's my long-winded answer there. Sorry.
That's all right. I'm glad you took your time with that one. You see, the internet and computers weren't around, when I was at primary school. I'm not sure about you, but they weren't around. There was only maybe one computer, and that was in the library, and that was to help me find books.
When I was growing up, I was lucky to have uh, parents and grandparents who we're not maybe so tech savvy, but we're on the up and up as far as like having the technology available. So I grew up around it, but I had to teach myself. And I think having to teach myself was really what made me proficient in it. And unfortunately, if you have to learn something yourself, there has to be some sort of kind of drive to do that. You won't have to want to do that. And I think honestly, the only thing that kept me going was the curiosity of childhood. When a child is little, they're gonna kind of absorb whatever's around them. If their dad's a mechanic or works on cars as a hobby, that there's a good chance that that kid is gonna end up being good at mechanic work, because he was young and impressionable when that was the big thing or the cool thing to do, and that stuff just sticks with you. I started doing malware removal when I was 12, so
When you were
I had.
12,
Yes.
wow.
So I was young when I started doing this, and I mean, I started kind of tinkering with computers when I was, between 6 and 8. The first time I got my hands on a Windows 3.1 computer, I was probably about 8 years old. That's when I, taught myself how to use DOS and Windows, and then I just moved on from there. But because I was so young, it was so fascinating to me. It was boring as all hell. Holy crap. I mean, literally, I just was fondling around the operating system trying to figure out literally what everything did. The only reason that was fun was probably childlike wonder. And, that's the thing, is we need to kind of get this type of education to people, or at least give them the option to explore these things when they're younger opposed to older, because the older you get, the more complicated it gets, the more set you get in your current paradigm, and the less likely you are to want to kind of evolve a new paradigm and, kind of shift into the role of said technician, or, said chef. It applies to every single category of trade. It's just a matter of having a drive to want to do it and it being fun to you. And I think the easiest way is to kind of get education out to people the younger they are, the better, as far as seeing results and seeing it stick with them. I mean, I guarantee you, if you taught every seventh grader a computer security class, just because they were so young, it would stick with them.
All right, you heard that first, teachers. If you're really serious about educating your kids these days, definitely do what Magebit says. Have a computer security course for all these kids, and make it mandatory too, because that way we can stop this.